Well, hello there everybody. It's time again for that time of the year to look over the collection and see what I don't need anymore and can give away so I can spare place for new incoming stuff during the year. I have said before that of course this gets harder and harder for every year, this culling. But I think I managed to find a pretty big stuff right now that I don't need anymore. And if there are some of the records I will show here that I've shown in previous year also, but I didn't I forgot to get away with them during this year. So please forgive me, but I will get rid of them now if there are any. But I hope that most of or if not all, are records that I haven't shown before, and that now will be finding a better place for someone who actually enjoy this record. But this is the annual culling video for 2019, and it felt like the culling this year would take forever. It's the longest culling I have done, but I felt like I really wanted to look close in the collection and see what I don't need, because I really wanted to make space for stuff that I have bought recently and that I will buy in the future. So I have, of course, CD singles, I have CDs, I have vinyl singles, and I have a huge stack of vinyl of LPs. I will not show all the LPs because there were so many that if I'm showing all of them, I think that this video will be taking an eternity. So I've taken the ones that I think the most foreign, maybe the most well-known names. I think it is for the best of the time for this video. So I will go out of frame and start showing, and maybe do some commenting here and there on why I decided to remove some of the records that might surprise some people. So here we go. Culling 2019. Starting off with Roger Hodgson from Supertramp. I never liked his voice, well, this is among the better I've heard him do, but that doesn't say anything, so no. Max Q, which was a dance project with Michael Hodgson from In Excess, but not an interesting one. So sorry, Adam, I haven't, but I have no use for this. Smokey Robinson was better in the 60s and the 70s. Not bad in the 80s, not bad, but this one was pretty boring. So I might remember I bought this in Gothenburg, and it wasn't bad, but not that interesting to keep. One of Nick Cayman's weaker singles, so I felt like I didn't need Loving You Sweeter Than Ever. There are a lot better versions of this one, Visage and the original with Sager and Evans. Swedish single, Swedish single, Swedish single, a duplicate, another duplicate, Armor Show, a band that I have respect for, but the later songs weren't all that interesting comparing to Waiting for the Flood album. I realized that I actually have 3 versions of 49ers Touch Me. I only need one. One of Belinda Carlisle's absolute weakest songs, unfortunately. A duplicate of a Eurovision Song Contest single. Wonderland, Paul Young, a duplicate. Yet another Swedish. One of Gary Newman's weaker songs. This was a complete blind buy, and I realized it would be fun to have some kind of a ragga version of Pink Panther that is on the B side, but no, not enough. One of Stack Aiken and Waterman's more lesser known projects. Proxion, Laser Dance wannabes. Jean Carn, like Smokey Robinson, were better in the 70s when she was at Philadelphia Records. Bee Gees at the 80s, with exception from You Win Again album, wasn't all that interesting. Swedish single, I have two of. I'm sorry, Adam, but I've given up on Madonna after the 2000s, with exception from Confession on the Dance Floor. That album is good, so that one I'll keep. But when it comes to the rest of her albums from after 2000, I feel like Hard Candy and MDNA are two horrible albums. So unfortunately, Madonna was at her best during the 80s and the 90s. So I feel like I won't be listening to them. So I give them away, unfortunately. Coming into some jazz albums, some lesser known big bands that I bought at the closing of Videodrome a couple of years ago. Those were the great stack of lesser known big bands that I bought, but these were two that I wasn't all that pleased with, that I have no use for. Sonny Dunham and his orchestra, and Harry Leader and his band. Unfortunately, because these Fecalian CD releases are great. I realize that Katrina and the Waves are better in singles form. They aren't holding for an album all that much because of the lack of the other melodies. But so maybe it's a band that I just need a compilation with. Swedish. I had high hope for Bill Withers, but it wasn't all that interesting as I thought. There was some good melodies on this, the classic track, Ain't a Lovely Day and Ain't No Sunshine, but the rest were pretty uninteresting, unfortunately, when it comes to Bill Withers. The Shaman, their final album, I think, that was not as good as Boss Drum, unfortunately. Engelbert Humperdinck, this is a live recording, actually, but it is very late Engelbert Humperdinck. I think it is recorded somewhere 80s or 90s, and released on MCPS. Ugh, hate that. This one is interesting because I bought this, I had high hopes, it was very good, but then I found the complete Newport concert, because this isn't complete, this is just a Newport festival suite So I found the complete Newport concert. And then I feel like, why would I need a release with just a couple of tracks from the same concert when I have the entire concert? Coming into the free CDs that I got, I think it was last year, from Återbuket. Those that I've heard right now that aren't all that interesting. Of course, many of these are totally unknown to me, but they were free, so why not? This was the winner of my award for the worst finding of the year last year, 2018. Foreigner compilation sounds pretty good, but this was not all that interesting. It was very, very heavy focused on the 70s and the 90s, not the 80s. So I thought that this compilation was pretty bad. I have a more complete AHA collection than this one, released later on with more newer songs also. So I felt like this one that was released in 91 I have no real need for when I have a huge, larger compilation. The duplicate. Swedish rappers, just det. And Waterboy Stream Harder, a little disappointment. I thought it would be going to be better than it was. Time for some CD singles. I really like the British scent at the end, but I don't have a lot of albums with them. But this single, The Boy Is Crying, may be one of the most boring songs they have ever done. So I felt like, well, let's save some space instead of having bad songs with a great band. A duplicate. This is British band D-Ream that had some great songs in '94 from the first album. But then it went downhill, I think, in quality. This is later singles from the second album, I think. A couple of bands that I normally have huge respect for, that I really like, but that time didn't do them well. This is Isaac Hayes in the 90s, Fragile. And Isaac Hayes, you all know that I love Isaac Hayes. I have a lot of albums with him. I bought many the past 5 years. But this 90s version was very, very boring. This is New Order and a 1995 version of Blue Monday. It was so disappointing. The original version and the 1988 version were a lot better than this one. Even if it is New Order, I love New Order, this is no reason to have it. And a duplicate of Suede's Let Go. And the big stack, the vinyls. A Benny Goodman album that I have a duplicate of. And Oscar Peterson albums that I also have duplicates of. So don't worry, I'm not getting rid of my Oscar Peterson collection. I love him, but I don't need two of the same album. Cookie Crew, some kind of a rap band, rap girls, that I thought was, with the exception from one song, this was a very, very uninteresting album. I thought it was going to be more house than it was actually. Frankie Valli is the word. His Grease song is really, really good, but the entire album it was pretty boring. Duplicates. This was nominated for Worth Finding 2018. Freeze album Antifreeze. Some might remember I bought this in Gothenburg, and unfortunately it didn't live up to my expectations, with exception from the single Nature of Love. Bought in Umeå, if I don't remember correctly. Danish jazz, call them Danish Fastballer or something like that. This is the full album of Michael Hodgson's dance project, Max Q. And as I said when I showed the single, it was a surprisingly bad album. Well, not horrible, but it was uninteresting. Very lacked of great melodies, so I've been eating them. A couple of albums I got for free. David Clayton Thomas from Blood, Sweat and Tears. Very disappointing album. I thought it would be much better, so I thought that now David Clayton Thomas in Blood, Sweat and Tears is a lot better than in solo, at least when it comes to this album. Another proof of an artist that releases singles and then it doesn't hold an entire album. Gregory Abbott, Shake You Down is really, really great, and I got a feeling it's over, but the rest of the album was just so. And Ashford Simpson were a lot better in the earlier years than in the 80s. I love my definition of a boombastic jazz style. I think it's a really, really fun song. But the entire album was unfortunately way too hip-hop stylish for me, and I have the single. This one was sad, bought it in Stockholm. OJ's, looks pretty good. And it's also one of these rare times when you find an 80s release from Philadelphia, because this is from 1987. But OJ's in the 80s wasn't interesting at all. It was very, 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 very uninteresting melodies. Jody Watley with remixes, and you know how I feel about remixes. With exception from Pet Shop Boys and Depeche Mode remixes. This was a disappointment. A couple of songs from Olivia Newton-John were pretty good. One song from ELO, but the album itself was disappointing. This Absolute Reality I have already. It's a duplicate. A lot of newer souls that is removed from the collection. Dan Hartman, Relight My Fire. great song, but the album itself was very uninteresting. And compilations. I feel like I won't be listening to compilations when I have original studio albums to go through. No, the compilations doesn't end. There's nothing wrong with compilation if it is in a genre that I don't have a lot with. I have compilations with Feel the Soul and so on that I have because I haven't that big Philly collection yet. But when it comes to these with regular hits, I have from the 80s, I have most of them already. The songs on albums and singles and so on. Q-Tips, this was Paul Young's debut band. I thought it was going to be better than it was, and I thought it was pretty uninteresting, not to say very uninteresting. A lot of covers of 70s soul songs that are way better in the original. So Paul Young would be a lot better on his own. Stacy Q was, I rated it pretty high when I got it many years ago, but when I listen to it now I thought it was very stale, with exception from the singles, We Connect and Two of Hearts. They are really good, but I have them on singles. And my collection of German singer CC Catch. I have them for one reason, that is that Dieter Bohlen from the group Modern Talking has made the production. He's a fantastic producer, but CC Catch can't sing. I hate her voice. Sounds like she needs a lot of practice, in my opinion. So a compilation with her, yes, I can have, but full albums, no, I don't think. Especially when she sings ballads. So those records we're saying bye-bye to. What I'm going to do with them will be the, I think, most ordinary questions in the comment sections, I guess. I haven't made up my mind yet. Normally I give them away to thrift stores because many of these are dollar finds from dollar bins. And I feel like to sell them when they aren't worth more than I actually paid for them is pretty uninteresting. But we'll see. There is a part of me that have been thinking of maybe I should rent a table at the Game and Record Fair for the autumn. But we'll see what happens. I will spare them in the cellar till I've made up my mind. With exceptions from the jazz albums that goes to my friend Otto. That was the Culling 2019. I don't know what's going to be next, but it's time for a vinyl CD update soon for April. So until next time, I hope that each and one of you have a real nice Easter. Eat a lot of eggs. You can eat my eggs because I don't like eggs. Don't eat too much candy. Have a really nice Easter. Until next time, take care everybody and see ya.